How often are you able to deliver the things you say you will when you say you will? And for most of us, it's hit and miss at best, and there can be a lot of reasons for that. We try to make judicious predictions and based on assessments of what our available resources are, but scope creep, conflicting priorities, the unexpected, a lot of things can conspire to get in our way of on-time delivery of the things we commit to. But if we're really honest, a lot of the time, the culprit is that we don't really have a strong understanding of what our team is able to deliver in a given period of time. And we don't really have a strong enough understanding of where our organizational pinch points are. If your team's organized around quarterly goals or monthly targets, in this episode, I'm going to show you how you can use shorter sprints to get yourself more data, to get a better understanding of where those choke points are so that you can tackle them, address them, solve for them, and have more predictable outcomes. This one's called Sprint to Success, Identifying Organizational Pinch Points. This is Lead and Win the Room, and I'm Russ Patterson. Okay, so if you're leading a business or you're leading a team, then I'm sure the people that report to you already have annual goals and maybe quarterly goals that they track against, and you probably look at monthly performance really closely. But I want to suggest today that you add another operating rhythm if you don't already have it. And it's to sort of take the idea loosely of sprints from the agile software development world and take them over to the business side. I want you to think about dividing up the year into 52 one-week sprints or maybe 26 two-week sprints. And the purpose of that is to get shorter units of forecasting so that everyone can get better at it and you can get more data faster to help you find those organizational pinch points. And the way that a sprint is going to be defined for your business teams, a little bit different maybe than how you look at it for software development. It's a unit of commitment. What I mean by that is you're going to have an operating rhythm where you meet once per week or once every 2 weeks if it's a bi-weekly sprint. And at that meeting, a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to ask all the people that report to you to make a commitment on what the things are that they're going to deliver in time for the next meeting. And they're going to report against the things that they committed they were going to be able to do at the last meeting. And you're going to write those things down and keep track of them. And that's really all there is to it. There isn't a lot of magic to this. Maybe at this point, you're thinking to yourself, hey, I already do something like this. I meet with my team every week or two and we talk about progress against goals. And that's great, and you should keep doing that. What I'm suggesting is a little bit different in a couple ways that are nuanced but important and impactful. The first is that I'm not talking in this instance about goals. I'm talking about commitments. A goal is something that you're maybe 70 or 80% confident that you can hit and that you're chasing over the longer term. A commitment, in this instance, is something that you're saying in front of your peers, to your boss, that you're going to be able to deliver between now and the next time the group meets in a week or in 2 weeks. And so this is something you should be pretty close to 100% confident that you can deliver. Okay, the second way these commitment meetings are a little bit different is that I'm going to suggest that you be really detailed about making sure that these commitments are recorded and that you keep track of them over time. Who's committing to what, by when, and how well do they do at delivering on the things that they themselves suggested they'd be able to do? Is the purpose of all this to identify the people who keep missing their marks and try to whip them to make them work harder? Absolutely not. The system will tend to make people work a little harder to try to meet the commitments that they make just because of the peer pressure of a meeting like that. Nobody wants to be the one who's sort of letting the rest of the group down and missing their commitments week after week. So if you run this well, it can help you build a little bit of momentum, but that's a side benefit. The real reason that I'm suggesting this is simply so you can get more data on what are the things that trip people up. If you find that somebody's having trouble delivering, then that's time for you to have them one-on-one with them and find out, well, why is that? A lot of times the person who's making commitments and then struggling to deliver on those commitments isn't your weakest performer. They're sometimes your strongest performers. If you really look closely, sometimes they're a person whose time is so much in demand, and sometimes they're so generous with their time and so crucial to other parts of your organization in ways that maybe you aren't tracking or weren't aware of, that really impedes their ability to do the things that you think they're getting paid for, or you think they're allocating their time to. Um, Maybe they're just spread too thin. Maybe you need to bring more resources into that area. Maybe they're struggling to hit their marks because they don't understand how to delegate things effectively to the resources they have available. Maybe they need more training. Maybe they are going through some personal issues and they need some time or some support from you to help them get through that and become a stronger performer on the other end. Point of all this is short cycles allows you to get more data faster so that you can find those pinch points and then double click and start to work on what are those problems and how can I try to solve for them as a leader, and how can I help my team hit the goals that they themselves believe they can hit week after week. So a word about this one: if you're not doing this already, you want to be very careful about the way that you introduce this, because this isn't about micromanaging. This is about adding more rigor so that you can understand how to better lead and how to better solve for the problems in your organization. And I recommend that you be very transparent and honest about that as you introduce a process like this. Explain why you're doing it, what you expect the benefits are, and then as you try to get people to set their commitments for the first time, that might take a little coaching and a little adjusting as people kind of get used to it and get the hang of it. Over time, this gets easier and easier. It gets more natural. And if people see that this is a vehicle that's being used to make better decisions about how you allocate resources and how you spend your time as a leader to try to lean in and solve problems for people or for teams or for working relationships, and that it's not something that's being used to judge their performance necessarily, then you'll see more and more buy-in. And I think you'll find that with this increased flow of data, the choke points that might have taken you a longer period of time to understand, you'll find quickly, really quickly. And this is why agile software teams organize themselves in this way. And the Scrum boards they use, the approach they use is different, and the data that they're able to collect is a little bit different. But the point of it is to collect data frequently over very short cycles so that you can learn where your organizational weak spots are quickly and then lean in to solve for them. Okay, so that's it for episode 3. I hope you found this content useful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe. Really appreciate all those things. And if you'd be willing to go as far as to share a link to this podcast out to your LinkedIn network, wow, that would really help me to reach a wider audience and get a bigger conversation going around some of these topics. So thanks for that. This has been Lead and Win the Room, and I'm Russ Patterson.